What's up? What's good? What it do? What up with it? ¿Qué ondas? ¿Qué pasó?
¿Qué tal?
¿Qué tal? Wagwan. However you say it where you're from. I'm one half of the co-hosting team, Steve, and this beautiful lady over here is, and we are married, but this is Marriage for Grown Folks. A fun place, a safe space for you to come and enjoy yourself. We pride ourselves on edutainment, giving you a little bit of education while also entertaining you. All things or some things, marriage. We're not going to get it all. We're not going to get it all right either, but it's our opinions. We've been together for about 20 years now, so I think we know a thing or two about these things. All right, so once again, thank you guys for being here. Let's have a little fun. All right, let's get right to business.
I'm ready if you're ready.
All right, you look good.
Thank you. So do you.
Appreciate that. As I always say, I can't smell you, but I imagine that you smell really good.
Versace.
Versace. You can't spell Versace.
I cannot.
F-O.
You bought that one for me one Christmas.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm glad to be here today.
Same.
Yeah. Hit the like button, subscribe, leave a comment. But as I always say, watch your mouth. It's my wife you messing with here. I can handle it. I'm sure she can too. But, keep it clean. All right? You ready?
Yeah.
Let's have some fun.
Okay. What do we call our first segment?
What do we call our first segment?
Temp check.
Temp check. It's on
Temp
you,
check.
sister.
Yes. What song do you love because it puts you in a good mood?
What song do I love because it puts me in a good mood?
Yes.
You know this already. I've got
Probably.
a couple of them. For me, you mean like a go-to song?
Yep.
I used to hate it when I was younger. I told you that because it was redone 1,000 times. And I didn't get it. I didn't understand it. I had no depth. I was shallow, like my Sego. I was shallow, just young, ignorant. But Bill Withers' Lovely Day.
Yes.
That song is a song that I wish that I had written. It's one of those songs. And I could listen to it all day long. It's pure. It's earnest. You know what I mean? And even the way it's lovely day, lovely day, lovely day, lovely day. It just puts you in that zone to speaking good. I bet you if we had to ask Pharrell, he would say that Happy was maybe a tiny, tiny spinoff
like
a branch off of Lovely Day.
Probably.
Yeah. But Bill Withers, Lovely Day. Fantastic song. He's got a couple of those too that are just fantastic. But if I got to go with one song, Bill Withers, Lovely Day. How about yourself?
So the short answer is Jay-Z and Jeezy's Go Crazy.
Hey, when they play that new G's, all the dope boys go.
Yes. So that's my first thought. It's so interesting though because thought of this question and did not think that would be your answer. As you're answering, I'm like, that is his answer.
That is my answer.
That is him and his most authentic self.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep. It's that. It's But we only said one. You only said one.
I mean, you can.
But Morning Sunrise.
Yeah.
Morning Sunrise. Hello. And then I would probably go. Even though it's really not even released, so to speak, but Nas, Good Morning. Yeah, something special about that song with the Isley, drifting on a memory.
Good morning.
Yeah.
It used to be on the morning show on the radio station.
Yep.
At the top of I think it was like 7 o'clock.
Yeah,
Like that,
yeah.
that it would come on.
Shout out to 860 Hartford, Connecticut, baby.
Yes, 93.7.
Hey.
There we go. I think it's really interesting though, right? You have mentioned 3 songs that I think of for morning. Like the start of the day. And that wasn't necessarily, I mean, it's neither here nor there. I thought it was just interesting that that's where you went for all 3 of those songs. Whenever I think of it, I think of like, those are great songs to start your day.
I guess what you just unearthed is that I like the beginning of the day. I like the,
possibility.
yes, I think that's what
Optimism.
but that's who I am.
Right.
I like when there's something in front of me,
Yes.
something to look forward to. I feel like I can, like it's a clean slate.
We're so routinized too. So, you know, and I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean,
Yeah.
like we do a lot of the same things every day.
Yeah.
And so just to still have that optimism in that routine and be able to lean to certain songs and, you know, whatever. That's all good.
Since I was little, it's always been the same. I don't like waking up, so to speak, like in the morning. But once I'm up, I'm grateful for the day. It's always been that way for me.
Same. It has not always been like that.
I didn't
for
even
me.
notice that when you said that. I never even thought about those being like morning songs or songs that can, lovely day. Wow.
Yeah, if I had picked two other songs, they
Yeah.
would have been party songs. I'm not even going to. And so I don't know if that speaks to our character. Or our
I'm
personality.
everything does. Everything. What you eat, how you talk, music you're listening to,
Right.
what gets you going.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Good stuff.
Yeah.
You got more?
No, that was it.
All right. That's a good temp check. You got to be thinking. You got good therapy. Unearthing things.
You're welcome.
You're welcome. All right. Shoot It Straight. Our favorite segment. You know what I mean? This is a flyover of sorts. We talk about this. It's a flyover. We're just trying to tap into a couple of things that may be pop culture, maybe mainstream, or some things that you may not even know about. Once again, edutainment. So we'll sound off. We'll go back and forth, have a little fun. We used to put like a timer on it, but I'm glad that Mark was like, nah, knock it off with the timer.
Yeah.
You know, people want to hear what you got to say regarding certain things.
Mark is our boss.
Yeah, you're
Like, he tells us what to
El
do.
Jefe. El Jefe, Mark. But shoot it straight. You ready?
I'm ready.
So shoot it straight. We've heard about this already because we're Americans, all right? We're Americans. But nonetheless, there was an IVF mix-up in Australia. If you don't know what IVF means, it means in vitro fertilization, all right, which is an alternative for people who can afford it, one, and for people who are looking to have a child, right? And they put it in the hands of others. Basically, they take sperm and egg, you know what I mean, make the concoction and then place it in the uterus of a willing woman, usually the woman who's trying to have the baby. Yep. So in this situation in Australia, it sounds exactly like what it is. There was a mix-up. They opted to go elsewhere, to take their options elsewhere. But apparently, their in vitro offering wasn't taken with them. It was the wrong one. So she went ahead and had this child. And a couple of months later, they realized that child was not theirs, is not theirs, or is not the child that they anticipated on having, that they paid for. And here they are.
Here they are.
Interesting enough.
You know I've got questions.
And that's why I did it on purpose to keep it vague.
Okay.
I wanted to keep it vague on purpose because if you guys don't know my wife, she is naturally inquisitive. And sometimes keeping her in the dark means more questions. And I thought that this segment mandated more questions.
Okay.
All right? Fire away.
Okay.
Fire.
Is the couple white and the baby black?
No, but that has happened. That has happened. And
Okay.
if I'm not mistaken, it happened in California.
Oh, did it?
Yeah.
I
Go
think-
ahead. Next
so-
question.
Okay, so they did. I read a little bit on it,
Mm-hmm.
and so they had to get crisis management.
Of course.
In.
That's an understatement. You better believe we need crisis management.
So they had to get them
Say my
involved.
baby.
Yeah. So they had to get crisis management, and I'm like, so what's the plan? What do you do? Do you give the baby back? You
So
bury the-
there have been other times. There was, oh man, I wish I could give reference to the other podcast that operates as a newscast. There's two young ladies. I believe they're from Australia or New Zealand.
Okay.
But their offering is news their way. But they really broke it down. And they did speak to the fact that there's precedence and that this particular moment is going to give them a better overview, as in, Australia and New Zealand. It's going to give them a better overview of how to move forward because it's the first time it's happened there. Okay. But it's happened a few times in other places, specifically California. where there have been times where couples that they mentioned, there's one couple that was making arrangements to exchange children because they both have the wrong children.
So, okay, so that was going to be my next question. Like, so what do y'all just kind of go behind the scenes like, well, this is really your baby. So we did bond with it. You know, we did the touch to touch or whatever it's called. I can't remember.
Yeah.
Right? Like, we've done all of that, but here you go. Like, huh? These are people. So it's a little, I know it's different. But I'm just curious, like, so what's the protocol, crisis management?
Listen, it's going to be a bunch of stuff that's going to happen. And they were talking about it to the young ladies. Man, I wish I would have gave them some credit because they were just, there are definitely more questions than answers. But this will set precedent for how to move legally because there's some legal implications here. Even as contrite as the agency or they're contrite, but they're being honest. And I think that's key, is being honest in the situation. Because if you start lying, but what they found after their investigation, they figured it out first. The people who do the IVF, they figured it out after doing a number. They're like, hey, there's some extras here.
They're missing.
No, not missing. There's extra, which means that it didn't go out. That package didn't go out. So if they're pregnant and they've had a child, what pregnant are they? Or what child are they
carrying?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
I'm swirling right now. So I do know that the IVF clinic had another suit the year before, had to dish out about $56 million because apparently what they were doing was like getting rid of eggs that were that they considered to be like genetically, dare I say, like incompetent. So like they didn't want to be giving families like babies that had genetic disorders and things like that. And but what was happening was they were actually tossing or getting rid of eggs that were actually founded to not be genetically compromised.
That ain't it.
I hope I'm using the right word.
That's not it.
But yeah, so there's already something that has happened last year with this IVF. Because in my head, I was just like, okay, so I'm not in the market for any of this, right? But I'm probably not going there. I mean.
Listen, to me, it's extremely interesting. And that's why I said I left it up to you. I ain't got the answers, Sway.
When we're dealing with people, right? In this stage, it's so challenging to have this like concrete, let's do this, this, and this.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like that, like in last week's scenario, we talked about something. I was just like, oh, but we're like dealing with
humans.
And it's.
Yeah. And speaking of humans, which is very, very interesting, this is that whole idea of God is not the author of confusion. So I think it's twofold. One is that we've advanced so far in civilization that we can actually help people who may not be able to do it on their own, which is a beautiful thing. They want the responsibility. They want to take on this. They want to have the same feeling that other people feel, and they can afford to do this. And science has proved that it can be done.
That it's possible,
right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, it's almost like God is sitting back like, what y'all asking me for? I gave y'all information. I gave y'all brains. I ain't say do this. You know what I mean? Of course there's going to be error. Of course, humans are humans. So, but in this particular situation, one error is everything. There is no margin for 1% error. It's got to be perfect every single time. Or you've got stuff like this. Because think about it. Now, the legal precedence could be, and it's happened already, that, hey, I don't want to give this child to you. I birthed it. And legally, they can fight that. Am I lying?
I mean, so as you were speaking, I'm hearing you and was thinking like, would I be like, oh, let me switch the babies? I don't know. Like something tells me no. The baby is the baby. This is God did this for a purpose.
God did.
And what I mean is like that we ended up in this scenario where I am carrying a baby that is not ours.
Right.
right? But I'm carrying this baby. So there's a reason that I'm in this predicament. And so I need to just be okay with that, right? Like, that's my thought. But then my other thought is like, but then there's another one that has my stuff, all of my genes or our genes, and will or should be a part of
I get it.
this family. So
I get it. I totally understand. Once again, it's going to be way more questions than there'll be answers in this situation. This is not good. It's not good, but it ain't the first time it's happened. It's just the first time that has been really brought to my attention, because I was like, there's no way in the world you do something that's this scientifically advanced, but also left in the hands of humans. We're imperfect.
Right.
So at some point, you know what I mean? You're going to have what you're going to have.
And how do you get enough money to like cover the damages?
What do you mean? How do you get enough money to cover the damages? If think about it, what's one of our favorite movies?
Shawshank Redemption.
When we're talking about IVF.
Oh, Baby Mama.
Baby Mama, you know what I mean? Which is one of our favorites. Baby Mama, right? And they talk about the IVF. And if I'm not mistaken, there was multiple payments of like 40,
like $10,000.
Well, that's to the,
that was to
Yeah.
the surrogate.
yeah. So I
then-
guarantee you these IVF, they're not in the market for broke people. You know, they're in the market for people who've got it.
Right.
So you do the math on that. And I think in Australia, they said there's 19,000. There's 19,000 that have been done. So there's 19,000 and it's growing. Just imagine, you know, what it's like around the globe.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So people are in the market for this. It's a true market. You know what I mean? So very, very interesting, man. Very, very interesting. Yeah, I don't know where they go with that, but I know this is, as far as Australia goes, it's going to definitely be the thing that sets precedent how they move. Because now they're talking about how do you put together a bank? Maybe there needs to be a data bank, government ran. You have to.
Data bank?
But think about it. There's no precedent
okay.
for it. This ain't in the Constitution or anybody's for that matter. It's something that is new. So as it's new, you got to advance with it. Society got to advance with it. And
You
maybe
mean, like,
that's the way.
relatively new?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah, man. Trippy.
I still have questions, but it's
Trippy.
okay. It's okay.
I'm telling you, it's trippy. All right. Next up, 4 women go to space for a few minutes.
8 minutes.
8 minutes to be exact. I thought it was 11.
Okay. I mean, you may have read 11. I read 8.
All right. 11, 8.
8.
All right, let's do the
They
math.
weren't up there long.
18, so split the difference. Let's go 9
9.
minutes.
Sure.
All right, went up there. You know what I mean? They seen some things and came on back down, parachuted back to Earth.
So cool.
Right. Now, who were these women? The women.
Gail in them.
Gail Nem. See, we'll talk about Gail Nem later. Gail King, Katy Perry, Aisha Bowe, Lauren Sanchez, who happens to be the fiance of Jeff Bezos, who is the head of this project. This is one of his companies, right? So he was able to allow them to travel to space, and they took off, and they from western Texas. It wasn't Cape Canaveral, so you know this is privately owned. They can do what they want to do. It's his bread, his money, his guap, not his Lucchini. Copy. But anyway, they got up there for a few minutes and then they came back to Earth. You know what I mean? And it's not about what I think. It happened. For us, obviously, we got Gayle King up here. You know what I mean? I guess the most noteworthy name would be Katy Perry, right? Because she's a pop star and she's a fantastic singer and all of that good stuff. But Gayle King is a part of who we are. We from the 860.
Yeah.
We from Hartford.
Yep.
You know what I mean? When it was 203 at one point. You know what I mean? Which is further down the other way. Now. But we from the 860. So we grew up, you know what I mean, where in the morning we heard Janet Peckinpah, Denise DeCenzo,
Gail
Lou
King.
Brown,
Oh,
Gayle King,
Gail King.
right? So Gayle King was, you know, one of our local reporters on TV and then ascended to the ranks and then became friends with Oprah. And then now the world gets to see how fantastic she is. So she's a veteran in the game.
Yeah, right.
Now all of a sudden she's taking trips to space. I think that is awesome, especially coming from where we from. Coming from where I'm from.
Well, she's not
I'm
from
from.
Connecticut, though.
What do you mean she's not from Connecticut?
I mean, she started her career there, but she's not from Connecticut.
You just ruined the whole
Sorry.
thing that I had in my mind of her being just
I
born,
mean, let me double
bred.
check.
I mean, but come on. I mean, but come on. But all jokes aside, if she had been from Hartford, we would have known what high school she went to and all of that. So I'm pretty sure she's not from there. But what say you in this matter?
So I have a couple ideas or a couple questions. Yeah, she's not from Connecticut. She's from Maryland.
From Maryland?
She's from Maryland.
Got
That's
it.
okay. It's
It's
not too
okay.
far.
It's okay.
It's all good.
It's okay.
all good.
It's okay.
It's like, what, 4 hours maybe? 5? Easy.
We claiming her
Okay.
on our
Yeah.
taxes.
She's also a Capricorn. Anyway, December 28th. Totally
Interesting.
random.
Interesting. I can see that.
Pioneers.
Right.
So I appreciate this because I understood the angle, right? Like wanting to really highlight women, space, their impact, right? It's aeronautics, I believe. Like that was the push. That was what we were talking about. And so I think it was great that she was a part of that.
That she,
She
as in Gail.
She is in Gail and the rest of them. Okay?
Gail,
And them.
Gail them.
Gail and them. Right? So I think that that's great because I have a lot of respect for her and what she's done and
Yeah.
how she's grown. And I love Katy Perry, fine, right? Like all of that. But I also liken some of this to that effort that he made with, wasn't it him that made the effort to get those people underwater?
I don't know if that was him.
Oh.
I don't know.
Well, let me retract that.
It probably was, though, because I know it wasn't Richard Branson. It's pretty much him, Musk, and Branson doing stuff like this.
Right.
It's those three guys.
So it's okay, so maybe it's not him directly, but that idea. And it's just like stuff that doesn't need to happen. And I know that that's part of the backlash, right? This idea that here we have like bigger fish to fry. There's a whole lot of things happening. I don't know, healthcare. What else is happening, right? Like deportations and things like that. And then a bunch of rich women or popular celebrity of some sort get to go up to space for 8 minutes. So I get some of the backlash. I'm just going to put that out there. I don't necessarily feel like, oh, this is so horrible because it's Gail and them.
Gail them. Gail them.
But I do think it's like, I also think that I'm in a space now where it's like, what do we need and what do we want? Some of those things carry the same type of weight.
Yeah.
And so we didn't necessarily need them to go up to space for 8 minutes or 9 minutes or whatever it was. But I do think that it's awesome that they were able to, and now they can come back and tell us some stuff. Maybe they saw some people, like maybe they saw some things.
Okay. I'll take that.
Thank you.
Now, I didn't quite know that there was backlash. I'm not going to lie to you, act like I
Yeah.
did some extensive research in
There's
that
backlash
department.
about it.
But people you're going to have backlash regardless.
They made a Hummer and folks.
Okay, right.
You
So
know,
so here's my deal. Here's my deal. At one point, is it cool to buy a Bentley or a Rolls Royce? Because there's always a war somewhere. There's always crisis somewhere. There's always scarcity somewhere. But if you can afford it, when is it okay to buy it? So that's how I see it. We did not use public funds or our taxes for this to happen. This is this man's money and this man's ambition, and this is his ordeal endeavor. And they were selected and they went. So at the end of the day, I'm like, I hear y'all. If there's quote unquote backlash, there's bigger fish to fry, then you go fry them fish. You know what I mean? But this is money. That's that man's money. And if you want to go buy a Rolls Royce or a Bentley or whatever it is that you want to buy and you can afford, that's your money. There's always going to be crisis. There's always going to be famine. There's always going to be a war somewhere. So when is the right time, right? But at the same time, I think it's cool. If I'm not mistaken, I think there's already been like 111 or 117 women who have already gone. So I know it's not the first time.
Right.
So, I wish it was the first time. But what I do think, I think it's cool. And I think what's leading the way for me is the fact that it's Gail and them. That Gail, I'm sorry, y'all. I mean, I'm probably very biased here, but I'm from a very small city. And for anyone to get out and do something of significance is a big deal for us. You know what I mean? We're talking about podunk. You know what I mean? And by the way, podunk was invented in Connecticut, the Podunk River. Right? Which means, and people, anyway. But I think it was pretty cool, and I understand the backlash. So I think you could,
Right.
I get it.
I went to do a smog check for my car. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of showing how old my car is, right? So went to get a smog check, and
Your car is paid off. I don't care how old your car is.
no, I mean, I'm not. I wasn't
Our cars are
complaining.
paid off.
It's a point of reference. Here,
Talk what you
right?
want to talk about.
I love my car, right?
Way to talk, boy.
So right behind me pulls up, there's a Cybertruck. And I said, why would a Cybertruck, they're fairly new, right?
Absolutely.
And so why would they be at the smog check? Why would they need that,
Mm-hmm.
The attendant was like, why is that pulled? I have
Right.
no idea, right?
Right.
But I guess what I'm trying to get at is like there's this like playing field, and I might be here and you might be here, but we still got to go do the same thing. And so in the same breath that you're just like, well, if you have the means and you can, then go right ahead.
Right.
And who are we to be angry with you or to have? I mean, we can have opinions. It doesn't matter.
Right.
But who are we to be judging? Ultimately, I don't know. So I just
Facts. I mean, serious.
get
I
your
mean,
Hummer if you want the Hummer. I mean,
you can
I'm
afford
sure
it.
an
That's your
environmentalist
money.
Will say something different.
Yep.
But
Yep. The moment I buy a pair, I mean, think about it. Anything can be scrutinized. A pair of shoes, a pair of earrings. You know what I mean? When I go get my massages, I'm just like, well, I can afford to get a massage.
and I worked for that.
I'm finna go. How do you say? I'm finna go get this massage.
Go ahead, Gail and them.
Go ahead, Gail and them. I ain't mad at y'all.
No,
Gail and them. Y'all go ahead and get after it. I'm not mad, and I'm grateful that y'all got back safely.
same.
Yeah, and I'd love to hear some stories. I'll actually follow up on this one.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to some
Yeah.
of the things that they're gonna
Okay.
share.
All right. So off Gail and them. Gail and them. I got an interesting story actually on Gail. Can I share the Gail?
Sure, go for it.
I'm not going to say his name, but there's a gentleman. He was an older gentleman then, and I was super duper young. But he was in prison for some time. Did a little bid, and he said that Gail was his thing, and he was like, yo, he would write Gail all the time. Oh. Hey Gail, I love you. You know what I mean? If you ever need somebody to love you better, I can be that for you. And I remember hearing this story because I was like, Gail was somebody's thing. She's still a beautiful woman. Let's knock it off. But just hearing that, and I'm like, that makes sense. Once again, small city. She's on the TV every day. She was, and this is 30 years ago. You know what I mean? Beautiful face, curvy. You know what I mean? She's curvy.
She's not. Even when she was younger, though, she wasn't anybody's like sex symbol.
Really?
Or she was.
People used to rock with Gail. Don't forget.
I'm not saying she.
I've heard about Gail being at what you call it? What's our Knott's Berry Farms?
Riverside?
Nope, not our Knott's Berry Farms.
Oh, Lake Compounds.
Nope, it happens in Octoberish.
Oh, Big E.
The Big E. I've heard of sightings, and they said dudes be acting. Her and Oprah are curvy women. Her and Oprah are curvy women.
Okay.
It is what it is.
But that was who he was.
Yeah, buddy.
I so want to know who this person is. You'll have to tell me.
Yeah, buddy.
Because I want to know.
Yeah, my man did a bid, but he said Gail got him through. Anyway, so let's go ahead and get through this. All right. So the NBA, I had to decide between, I want to get my basketball clip in. So I had to decide whether to talk about NBA playoffs or the NIL, NCAA portal situation that's happening. Okay. And I guess I'll go the NIL portal.
Can you
route.
give us a little context?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
So the NCAA right now is in a space now where they're having NIL deals, which is name, image, and likeness. They've been fighting for this for years through the courts, okay. Right? Fighting for years because as amateurs they don't have rights to pursue or even collect on their name, image, and likeness. And as we know, College sports it's huge. It's
a huge market.
yeah, a huge market. They're making millions and millions and millions. They're printing money, right? Well, here we are now. We're in a world now where these kids are getting NIL deals in the millions at high levels, millions. But also,
Good for them.
right, and also we're talking about the portal, the transfer portal, which now means that you can move from school to school at your own leisure. All right. It used to be if you transfer, you had to sit for a full year and then you would have eligibility the following year. Okay. Now it's like, hey, I don't like it here. I'm hitting the portal and you can go wherever you like. You can have whatever you like.
If they're willing to accept you, correct?
Oh, no. There's a transfer portal, which means that your name is entered. So there's something that, I guess you have to enter your name into this portal. Okay. And once you hit the portal, coaches can now go online in the portal and they can start contacting, and making deals per the NIL. So this is the world that we're living in. But for those of you who know what's going on, for those listening out there who already know this, all right, it's gotten more interesting because as time is starting to, now we're living in it. And as you live in it, things start to advance and things start to happen. AKA you're in the middle of NCAA March Madness. We're in the middle of March Madness, and you're hearing about kids who were eliminated from the tournament, and they're already
planning to transfer.
Yep, they're already like, "Hey, I'm out. This is where I'm," and it's being reported now. You know what I mean? Right out the gate. So, I don't think this is a thing about how I feel. I think it's the new space that people are living in, and some of these coaches have had enough. So there's coaches that are now speaking because there's social media now and everyone's talking. And some of these coaches like, I'm cool with NIL. I get it. You know what I mean? We put ourselves in this situation. But now they can just leave? Like, how am I expected to just coach a team and never know who's going to be here? Like, what does that look like for loyalty? You know what I mean? We're asking them to honor so on and so forth, but that's always shut down when they say, you can leave whenever you want. You can break your contract and go wherever you want. So we don't want to hear that. But it's interesting now to see coaches.
Is that the rebuttal?
Absolutely.
People
These coaches have been making millions off of the shoe. They get shoe deals. They could do their own shows. Mm-hmm. A lot of these coaches have their own shows. You know what I mean? And their contract, which sometimes are in the late thousands or early millions, right? While these kids get a scholarship, per diem on the road, and all the gear they want, and all the fries you can give me. You know what I mean? And that's not enough. There's millions of dollars coming in.
Right.
TV deals, shoe deals. You got all these things happening. So here we are. You know what I mean? And all I could do is say, man, every week now there's a new viral clip of a coach saying how much he hates this or he hates that and so on and so forth. All I'm saying is, I think this could have been avoided years ago. I don't have all the answers. You ain't got the answers, Sway. I don't have all the answers, but all they had to do was give these kids the scholarships they were offered, right? You get your per diem, and NIL shares. I think if you had put together something that was in that ballpark to make sure that their school was taken care of, make sure that they had an NIL deal, the name, image, and likeness. So you can do commercials. What's wrong with commercials? That doesn't make you a professional. You can still be an amateur and do your local Middletown Subaru, whatever, and collect a little bit of money on your jerseys. We're selling jerseys with my name on it, with my family's name on it. Just make it fair. And I think that would have been more than enough money for a kid coming. That would have been thousands. And had they done something earlier, they wouldn't be getting spanked now. Now you got to sit back and watch these kids get paid. Because some of these kids is like, why even go to the NBA or overseas? I can make millions right where I'm at.
And stay 4 years?
You don't have to.
Okay, so I get what you're saying. I guess my question would be then, like, okay, so they have the NIL deals and then they have this portal. I'm trying to catch up. I do know some of this stuff, but I guess my question would be then what is the alternative? I know that you've given a suggestion. So what is it that people are doing? What are they just kind of fussing about this?
Think about it. If you're a coach and It's a different vibe when you're the head coach of a college team. Remember, the NBA, you don't get to pick your team. The general manager picks the team, and the owner picks the general manager.
Okay.
Your job is basically to cook the food, so to speak. You know what I mean?
show up.
Parcells used to say this all the time, like, nah, you can't have me here coaching. You know what I mean? You want me to go in the kitchen and cook, but I don't get to choose the ingredients? That's crazy. We're not doing that,
Okay.
right?
So you're referring to like NBA.
To NBA,
though? Okay.
right? College is different. You have a different level of power because you have to honor a scholarship. So if it's a Tuesday afternoon and you're not bringing it because you're mad at your girlfriend, you know what I mean? Well, I can potentially take your scholarship. That's not guaranteed. You're not performing. You know what I mean? This is what it is. So that can happen. You know what I mean? Also, I know you're going to be here for X amount of years, so I can develop you and all these different things. And to me, it's control. It's all about control. Now these college coaches and universities don't have the
much.
control,
Yeah.
and they also have to kick in. You got to pay these people. You got to pay the people who are making the money that you're dealing with. That you're.
I mean, that's
Right.
how your salary's being paid, right?
Hey,
I mean,
it
partially.
it is what it is. So now the question is, in theory, does that still make you? Are you an amateur? Is a kid an amateur now? And the answer is without a doubt, no. So if college is not amateurism, then what is it?
Then what are we doing? Yeah.
And this is why I say all you had to do was go back in time and offer something.
But you can't go back in time.
Cannot go back in time.
So what can we do? I guess maybe that's the better wording. Like, so then what can we do? And you did give that suggestion, but maybe that feels a little generous
Yeah.
to the schools.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm sure they're going to find some form of compromise or something like that.
There you go. So
Okay.
you're a smart woman. You're a super smart woman. I believe wholeheartedly there's a middle ground. You know what I mean? Even though I think we've already blew past the opportunity to have a middle ground. But I think now that it's here, now you have to have a governing body, which is supposed to be the NCAA. But you have to be careful how you do it, but it can be done. Because now you're moving into the realm of trades, right? You're moving into the realm of trade deadlines. You're moving into the realm of unions. Because once you're a pro, you're a pro. And this is what comes with it. You got unions, you got collective bargaining agreements, and all these different things. So I'm just like, they're going to have to do something. You know what I mean? Like, because you didn't do what you were supposed to do, you got to give it all away. Now you got to give it all away. You know what I mean? You got caught cheating on her. You got caught cheating on her. You got caught cheating on her, right? She let you slide, right? All you had to do was apologize because she still love you. Be contrite. Meet in the middle, do better. NCAA stood their ground. They're amateurs. And coaches were getting paid. They're amateurs. And TV deals were getting done. They're amateurs. Shoe deals was getting done. They're amateurs. Coaches can go wherever they want to go. And now here you are. You didn't want to play ball. You didn't want to give. And now you got to give everything. You're welcome, NCAA. So pay that. What did he say in our Rounders? Pay that man his money. He beats me. Right? And here we are. But I do think it needs to be tightened up. I think now they need to start thinking about how they can tighten it up.
Oh, well, I'm sure they've got
Yeah. Not take things from them, but
that are
yeah.
coming up with a protocol so that I still think there's room for meeting in the middle. But
Okay. Hopefully. Meeting in the middle. Perfect segue. Silky segue. Very, very nice. Let's talk about it.
Let us.
Something that we've been avoiding for a long time. It's something that's a hot button topic, something that people love to fight about. The gender wars continue to roar and content gets aggregated and I hate you and I hate you and I hate you and men hate women and women hate men. And no. We're talking about submission. Submission. Whatever type of food you like.
Bark like a dog.
A big dog.
Yes.
Yeah.
Submission.
Submission. All right. Submission. Let's have at it.
Let us.
You got some data?
I have some.
Okay.
So I do. I have some thoughts and I have a little bit of data.
Please.
So when I think about submission, one of the first things that I think about is the Bible. I know that that's a practice. It's like ironclad, right? And And so I want to just make reference to that mainly because I think it's really important for us to name it, right?
Okay.
That there is a biblical practice.
As in this is the foundation of which a lot of people are using for their arguments.
Yes.
Got it.
Exactly. And
what's the scripture, ma'am?
Oh, it's 1 Peter 3.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead, sister.
Wives, submit to your husbands.
Amen.
And to the Lord.
Yes, Lord.
Mm-hmm. And then there's a couple others, but that's probably one of the main ones. It's just getting to straight to it. Women, submit to your husbands.
And they leave it at that.
And
that's the context in which all of this filth, nonsense, and arguing is happening.
Well, there's a bunch of different scriptures that say a lot of the same thing.
Yeah.
About submitting.
Do me a favor and read it slowly again.
Okay. Wives, submit to your husbands and to the Lord. So that's 1 Peter 3.
Mm-hmm.
But then there's a...
What about the part that says husbands?
Oh, so husbands, that's the one where you mean like husbands submit to Christ? Is that what you're referring to? No,
see, there's... Okay, we'll leave it alone.
So that's 1 Peter, but there are other scriptures. So that's what I was saying. Is that what you're looking for specifically?
Yeah, we're good. We're good. Go ahead.
You sure?
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm positive.
Okay. So I think what you're getting at, and I could be wrong, but it's just the idea that so women, you submit to your husband, but your husband has to answer to Christ. And so that's why, right? And maybe I'm putting the cart before the horse, but when I think about submission specifically in relation to the scripture, what I think about is there being a hierarchy in the home. And so someone has to lead. And generally, from a biblical sense, it should be the man.
Okay.
And so I think what gets nuanced or what really gets muddied in the process is well, how does that work? And how much of this is I have to rely on my husband's preferences because it's wielded or weaponized in some ways, right? Because the idea of it being there is this level of power that he is going to have over me. And I think that that's where some women are whoa. I'm not okay with that. And so one of the things that I can confess is in a lot of ways that was hard for me early in our marriage. I thought it was really difficult, the idea of submitting to you.
Wait, before we go any further, just I get it. I totally understand. I want you to lead this, but I need you to understand we got to have a whole conversation.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm gonna just say it. That ain't what submission means.
I know that's not what it
let's just say it. That ain't what submission means. People have this idea of a woman walking in a house and laying down, you know what I mean?
As we joked.
Yeah, as we joked about it. Yeah, bark like a dog, a big dog. Submit to me. Yes. Whatever I say goes. This is that's not what this is.
No.
You know what I mean? And if we want to play games with the scripture as people do to weaponize or to substantiate their ignorance in arguments, you know what I mean? Let's talk about, who came first? Adam, right? You know what I mean? Adam had a job to do. And what did God provide him? A helpmate, which tells me two things. One, there was a job to be done. You don't need help with anything if it's not a job. There's something that needed to be done. Help means you need somebody to assist you in this capacity, not to submit to you. So I'm not going to play games with the scripture. We're not going to do that. I don't do that. Let's talk about how we get down in our house, how we arrive at where we arrive, and how we get down. I'm not here to argue with my wife. And once again, I think that it's so corny for people to get on screen and on camera and yell at their wife and record it. If you need clicks, this out there for you to, well, not just your wife, girlfriend, or a female counterpart, that you are on camera, someone's recorded it and you've aggregated it for content, so y'all hollering and screaming at each other.
No.
Nonsense.
No. So when I
Got
think
to be kidding me.
so 44-year-old me,
Yes, ma'am.
when I think about submission, in my marriage, we've been married 18 years now, right? I think of it as like partnership. I think of it as delegation.
Yeah.
I think of it as a way that we support one another, with the idea that there is a hierarchy in place.
Right.
And that hierarchy, generally it's these things fall on you, like in the eyes of Christ, right? And so that's where I get that's where I really like lead.
Right.
Like that's the skeleton.
And obviously we subscribe to the walk of Christ. You know what I mean? Not everybody subscribes to the walk of Christ.
Right.
You know,
Sorry.
but
Yeah.
most faith, religion at its origin has women as subservient.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And I get that feminist. I get that people who, I get it. I totally understand the irresponsible use of, or the, what's the word I'm looking for? Just the misuse of the patriarchy.
Right.
I get it. Enough is enough, right? I get it. You know, there's more people out there who are ignorant to how you're supposed to treat each other, right? I get that. So here we are in this capacity. But the reason I'm all passionate, you look at my body, look at my, it is such an ignorant way to operate, to think that someone is just supposed to just submit to you. And what that means is that you must see yourself as infallible, as perfection. So if you've got people following you as a non-comprehensive, as an infallible, or you know what I mean, or none of us perfect.
Right.
None of us are perfect. We're not infallible. We're still learning. You know what I mean? And a lot of people don't even subscribe to the idea the way we do of being comprehensive, working on your mind and your body and respecting people and becoming the best you that you can become. Right. A lot of people don't subscribe to that, but yet they still want somebody under their feet because they want to control something. I believe wholeheartedly that people, and a lot of men, just want something to control. Suckers.
Can I just kind of go back a little bit? Well, not really go back. It's an addendum to what you're talking
Sure.
about. Okay. So when I was thinking about submission, I was thinking about who I am and how I've evolved. Like I
Right.
said, 44 years. And so now thinking about when we first got married, and I was 25 years old, right?
22.
25. I was 25. So I was 25 years old, just leaving, like for real, leaving my parents' home. And so as I'm thinking about submission as the topic for today, I was thinking about like, how had I been formed? Like, who was I in that time? And so much of that is dependent, or so much of those that modeling was happening from my grandmothers and my mother. And so that made me have to take a moment, not to get facts, but to kind of look at history, because I am Black and I am brown, right? And so let me look at the family dynamic of Black and brown. So that's what I did. So
That's good.
Can I go into that a little bit?
That's good right there. Go ahead
Perfect.
and get after it, man.
Okay, so we all know there are two different things that are happening in Black, or have happened in Black and brown communities.
Yes,
right?
ma'am.
So Black and Black communities, slavery. It was a real thing.
It's a real thing.
It is. The
And
North Star.
even though it's 500 years, that is not long ago.
It's not long ago. It's not long ago. It's not long ago when you can look in. My grandmother has passed away, but I can look in her living room at a picture, and she tell me, "Oh, that's your great so and so, and she was a slave."
Right.
We have
Right.
that.
It's right there.
We have that, right? So we have that point of reference. So it's not that far away. So for Black side of the family, we have slavery. In the Latin side of the family, we have colonialism, right? So it's some of the same types of things that create this dismantling of family, right? So because we have this dismantling of family.
Sorry, backing up. Black side, you got slavery. Latin side,
colonialism, right? And so these are like breaking down the families. This is historical, right? So we have these things, right? So that's what's happening before, say, the 70s. I'm 80, baby. I was born in 1980. Same as you, right?
Absolutely.
So in the 70s, right? So we have that happening. But then in the 70s, what do we have? Mass incarcerations. Who's being incarcerated?
Ooh. I know. Black men, black and brown men.
Black and brown men. Another
disproportionately,
right? So that's another factor that dismantles families.
That's so good.
Perfect.
Yep.
Just trying to, I want to just paint the picture really quickly.
Yep.
So, right, so we're thinking about those things. We're thinking about the dismantling of families. And now here we are, 2025, right? And we're
looking at the manifestation.
Right. And so in the same ways that you have said, like NIL and the
transfer portal.
The transfer portal, thank you. Are now coming to this head, and NIL is winning, and the transfer portal, the coaches are now trying to come up with some sort of compromise. That is the same. I feel like in a lot of ways that's the same thing that's happening in our families as we are now readdressing or looking at submission and what that is, because so many women, particularly black women, are like, oh, I'm depressed, let me go get educated. Oh, I have survival issues and I have to be great, let me go do this. And so we have entrepreneurs and we have all of these rebuilding that is happening. That is happening mainly, it's not only happening with our women, but they have been in a position where they've had to build up these things in ways that they've never had to before. And so now you want these women who have like really tapped into their superpower to now go, oh, let me submit to you. Not you, baby. I love you.
I love you too. All right, go get after it. I'm good.
So those are the things that, I wanted to make sure that I addressed.
Yeah.
Because now then I use that to go, well, who are my models?
Let her cook. Let her cook. Go ahead, girl.
So who are my models, right? And so it's really interesting. I won't bore you with a whole lot of history, but not history, but just my own framing of my family. But when I think about my black maternal grandmother, she was very much the stay-at-home mom. She was that. My grandfather worked. He was a mechanic. Apparently, he had his own business. I never even knew that until recently.
Yeah.
So he had his own shop, and so he was the breadwinner, and my grandmother was at home. It was beautiful because her grandchildren got to be with her. Because that next generation, my mother, her sisters, their partners or husbands or whatever their situation was, right?
Were the direct manifestation of not really being around like that.
They weren't really around, and they had to work. I came from a 2-parent home, and they both had jobs, and they had to work. And so thankfully, I had my maternal my mom had my maternal grandmother around that could walk me to school and could do certain things.
Someone to lean on.
Yeah, somebody to lean on. I want to say on an aside, though, that my grandmother, yes, she was a stay-at-home mom, and my grandfather was somewhat successful and whatnot, but they were living in the projects. So, they didn't have, so there's that.
Yep.
But there was also, maybe there wasn't quite enough because they didn't have a home. And that's not judgment. I'm just, looking at it, trying to, take it from 1984 and then place it in 2024. And from there go,
Right. The black experience is layered and complicated.
It's complicated.
Absolutely. It's all type of stuff.
It is.
All type of stuff in there. Go ahead.
I'll try to shorten my, so on my Puerto Rican side, my grandmother, she experienced abuse. Her husband was abusive. She fled. Her and her children moved from another state. And she immediately was like, I have to get educated.
I got to handle my business.
I need to handle my business. I can't drag my kids like this. They don't need any more of that. Let me go. So she moves to Hartford, Connecticut with her children. They live, in an apartment. My grandmother gets college educated. My grandmother's college educated. That's a beautiful thing, right? But she also had this layer of I have to be strong and I have to be independent. And I don't have time for a man. And I don't have all of those things, right? So there's some really admirable traits. But there's also a lack, respectfully, there was also she didn't have the support maybe that she would have needed to, be. My grandmother is still alive. She is not married.
Right.
So there's that. My grandmother, who was married, was widowed pretty early on. And so these are just kind of things that I use as, like I said, as a point of reference.
Yep.
And so now let me zoom into my family. So I've got my dad, who is
Your
very-
immediate, your
my father.
yeah, okay.
Like my biological father, who is married to my mother, and he's working and she's working. And so that doesn't necessarily fit. Like what I've seen with my grandmothers doesn't necessarily fit because they both are working, right?
Yeah.
So they're both working in the home, but my father was very much the head of the household. He is a Latin man. He, in a lot of ways, in hindsight, I see like some machismo like frame of mind. There's certain things that he does or has done that is like, oh, you run this. So that, and my mother being somewhat passive, and I mean, she made her own money. She, certain things, whatever. My parents didn't marry right away either. So there's also some of the biblical stuff didn't really apply.
Right.
So I take all of those things in mind and I go, that's what I'm made of.
That I am the manifestation of all of those things.
This is layered. This is kind of heavy. This is kind of complicated.
Heavy
duty. But how do I fit in? Because now I am married to you. Again, been married for 18 something years, almost 19.
Long.
Who's counting?
Chill out, Gina.
I'm counting. But been married for such a long time, and there's been a pendulum of like ideas of what submission would look like for me. And that's why I said at 25, I'm like, I got all of this stuff. I got a strong grandma, and I have a grandma who was a stay-at-home, but she was amazing, right? So you have all of these different ideas that feel really good in a space. But how does that find its way into our marriage and feel good? How do I feel good about the models? Because there's some good and there's some things that I really wouldn't want to be bothered with. But how do I really make that work for us?
I totally understand. And even though I've known you for so long, I tell you all the time, I learn something new about you all the time. So you know, that's what it is. Two people leaving their homes and the things that have shaped them into the people that they are, their mindsets, their education, their faith, their role models, so to speak. I'm a walking embodiment of that, or at least I was, right? You know what I mean? Because your job is to be growth minded, have a growth mindset, had to have a malleable brain, right? And a malleable heart, an open heart as well. That doesn't hurt.
That's good.
For me, we're talking about my parents split early, right? So they split early. I'm, fourth, whatever the 3, 4, whatever it is. They split early, and I'm splitting time between both. And in both places is two different things. I've got a pops who remarried, he's happy. Then I got a mother who's still in the dating scene, but eventually married, right? Unsuccessfully. So you got all of these energy that I'm watching, all these role models rather. And then you got the energy of the times changing. Here comes the late 80s, early 90s. I'm starting to feel myself. Shoulders are going back, voice is starting to get deep, and hip hop is telling me how I'm supposed to treat women, how I'm supposed to be doing this, but on, at church, the man is without a doubt, the top of the hierarchy, and the woman's supposed to submit. And also society is saying everything's on your back. It don't even matter what she do. She can have a job, whatever. At the end of the day, you the one that got to answer to God for your family, for the education, for the trauma, for this, for that, and the third. So here you are as a young man already taking that stuff from society and your role models and all the things from your music and the TV, and you're putting it on your shoulder, and you're walking around the world with these things, right? And they're shaping how you believe. They're shaping your mindset. They're even infiltrating your heart. You know what I mean? So it took a lot. I did mine a little shorter than yours. You know what I mean? But no, I thought that's really good. A little shorter than yours. But these are the things that shape us and make us. And it takes an intense, strong-willed, able-minded person to say, I don't know if I agree, but I might subscribe to whatever I'm going to put together. I'm going to subscribe to what I put together, right? And I think we're the living embodiments. We ain't perfect.
No.
right? Because Lord knows you fought me tooth and nail about everything. We're just keeping
It's
it a
in me.
buck.
It's in me.
But now we know why. And that's the historical piece that has shaped you, right? So here I am saying, let me help. Let me do this. How about this? And you're like, hey, bro, I'm going to do this. But at the same time, you even, articulated this to me. I'm saying I'm going to do me. I love you, but I'm going to do me. And at times, why I got to carry us? So you're like, I'm saying two things at the same time. Like, why?
Both sides of my mouth
Yeah.
sometimes.
But what is it? You know what I mean? But what you're talking out of is you're expressing and you're releasing all of that stuff. How your evolution as well as your history. Mm-hmm. And here I am doing my best to express my evolution as well as my history, right? My evolution states that the world's supposed to be on my shoulders, and I carry that sometimes. I'm responsible for this. The school is not responsible for my children's education. Nope. It doesn't matter how much money she makes, because at the end of the day, I'm supposed to be the breadwinner. My ideas, my concepts are supposed to be the one that provides the bulk of the money financially for the family. I'm supposed to be the one praying for my children and making sure they're meditating and making sure they're well read and that they understand they mind their manners. All of that's on my shoulders. That ain't the truth. It's all a bunch of hogwash, malarkey, BS, right? And now here we are as two fairly competent humans who have not allowed our history to shape our future, right? We're doing the reading. We're failing and trying. We're talking to each other. We've been to therapy individually, right? So what that's telling me is that there is a true quest to be comprehensive so we can be successful, so we can be a team and provide for our family and for ourselves and utilizing our purpose. And here it is. We're sitting across from each other and I submit. How do I submit? You know what I mean? Let's get to it, right? Let's get to it. How do I submit? Well, fellas, I ain't no sucker. If you know me, I ain't no thug, I ain't no street dude, but I ain't never been no sucker. I'm a man. I'm going to tell my son that. Dad, are we a real Y? No, you ain't no YN. You a real man. You know what I mean? We men around here, right? Copy that. So let's get that out the way. But real talk, there are areas that I'm not that good at. I'm not a great cook. But does that mean that she has to cook every day? No. But I do fairly well financially. So when she's not gonna, hey, I'm busy today. I did this, that, and the third. I need you to, we grabbing some food. All right. You know what I mean? All right. When it comes to my daughter, who is a young teenager and a young woman or a young queen in training, I don't have the answers for her. I ain't got the answers, Sway. I submit. And there's sometimes my wife is like, no, I got this. And when she say I got this, sometimes I gotta just, whatever type of food you like. You're a woman. You're designed a certain way. You've been through certain experiences. I can't teach you how to be a woman. I can rah. I can be there to help. I can be there to provide wisdom. Yeah. I can pray. I can hold. I can, you know what I mean? But a woman, that ain't in me. I've got a feminine side that I'm learning how to express because we're both masculine and feminine. You know what I mean? But I submit. I'm sorry?
What's the book called?
Oh.
The Sound of Water?
No, that is something man. The Way of the Superior Man. The Way of the Superior Man. And that's funny that you say that. Read that book, Way of the Superior Man. It will give you a really in-depth look at what masculine and feminine is. Not man, woman, what masculine and feminine is and how they work off of each other, how you should understand both and how you should seek to understand both and understand. And once you get understanding, it helps you empathize, you know what I mean? And sympathize. And if you push it forward, now you have a healthy relationship. Read that book.
And it really helped to just really synthesize what submission is like, because it's such a beautiful harmony.
Yes. I can't do what I can't do. Mm-hmm. The Almighty did not put me on this earth whole. Right. You know what I mean? He put me on this earth with a helpmate. Right. You knuckleheads who are weaponizing scripture, you dummies. That's so stupid to me.
I get it.
It's so stupid to me. It's so that's so stupid. I hate when people weaponize scripture, like for your own personal. Yeah, like knock it off.
Right.
Knock it off.
Right.
There are things that I can't do that my wife can do, and there are things that she can't do that I can do. And if you find the right woman and you also subscribe to being a whole person, you take your whole and their whole and you put two wholes together, and next thing you know, you got a fantastic situation. And you get to do a podcast and sit there with your wife and talk about your experiences. I'm so sorry, but I'm passionate about this because I think there's a lot of punks, a lot of suckers out there that have no idea what they're doing, and they're misusing certain things and not trying to be comprehensive out here. And here we are, being able to fix certain things, but we can't fix it because we're too stuck in the past, too stuck in not being comprehensive, too stuck in not being malleable mentally, and not having our hearts open to the idea of being a solid man. You know what I mean? And recognizing your lacks and recognizing the things you're great at. If you put your energy into the things you're great at and you not submit to the things you are, you try to improve upon those things, right? Like, come on.
There's value.
There's value. Sorry.
No, it's okay. So you said a couple things that were great.
Yeah.
I mean, you said a lot of things that were great.
Sorry.
There's certain things that just stand out for me.
Yeah.
And so one of them is the idea when we're thinking about submission, oftentimes, right? Again, it's this power play that
right.
people think it's a power play. But the truth is, like, in real submission, you are coming in as two complete wholes. I'm coming in with mine and you're coming in with yours. Like,
yes,
we just have our strengths and we have our, there's just certain things that we both do differently. We do them differently. And so when we bring those in, that becomes this beautiful, like, symphony of, I am
yep.
Really great at X, Y, and Z, and he's here, but again, we still understand the order. It's almost like having a president or a principal, right? And then having a board that then offers up their suggestions.
System of checks and balances.
Thank you. So for us in this Hodge home, right, we've got you as the lead, and then we got me, who is the board. I mean, part of the board. And there are moments where we even like tap in with our children to be like, okay, so mom and dad are flawed.
Absolutely.
I apologize for X, Y, and Z. How can we move differently?
Yeah.
Right? And that's not us like basically like chopping our legs from under us, right? It's actually us showing even more power in our space because it's like, oh, you are seeing us as humans. That's been a huge thing, I think, with Cheyenne and I, right? Like just having to recognize like, this is what's happening. She wants her independence and I want to give her independence.
Right. She hasn't done this, so I got to check this, and I want to be receptive, but I also got to be dad, I got to be mom, and you know what I mean? Hey, watch how you talk to me, but hey, please talk to me.
Right.
I get it.
Yes. So there's all of that back and forth, and I think that sometimes that's what submission looks like.
Mm-hmm.
Or not sometimes. A lot of the times that's what it looks like. And so if we're not bumping heads and saying, I'm telling you that you're doing blah, 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 okay, well then we can really have a conversation. We don't necessarily point it out and go, oh, this is submission right now.
Right.
Right? But it's just in the day-to-day, the things that we're doing and how we're moving and how we're communicating, how we're tapping in. Like, this is kind of your arena. You do this a little better than me. So how about you tell me how you want us to do this, or you take the lead in this respect. But ultimately, I'm held accountable.
Right. And it's like, just put it in like layman's terms and lay out some stuff just a couple times where we had to.
Sure.
Just recently, this past week, spring pictures were coming up for our son, right? And as of lately, we can have fun with it. We can joke about it, but I'm like, yo, you still dress him like he's your baby. You know what I mean? I'm like, well, now as he's getting a little older, you know what I mean? As he's getting a little older now, it's like, oh, I got it. Because, he's still young, but he got to be fly. You know what I mean? So some stuff don't fly.
So when I dress him, he don't be fly?
I'm not saying that.
No, I want you to clarify.
I'm not saying that he don't be fly. I'm just saying sometimes it be real Oshkosh Bagashi. And I'm like, oh, fam, you know what I mean? Like, this is a young man, and some of these photos last forever. What we not going to do is look back in 17 years and be like, yeah, what was I thinking? So I took the lead on this particular time, and we go to Gap right before they about to close. You know what I mean? So we got the Gap. And, there's a couple times where I'm starting to move. I'm putting this outfit together and you're like, I don't like that. I don't like the stripes.
I don't like that shirt.
I don't like that shirt. And I was like, I hear you, but I'm going to need you to go over there. I got this one.
You could have went by yourself then.
I probably should have, but it is what it is. You know what I mean? It is what it is. I'm like, this is a young black boy. You know what I mean? Young black boy, handsome young black boy too, who is on the floor right now snoring, I might add. Hope y'all don't hear my son snoring. All right, spring break. We ain't got no sitter. It is what it is. Our baby boy is here while we do this podcast. Mm-hmm. Lord, he is knocked out.
Yes.
That's that good sleep too.
He's good.
That's that good for him.
Yes.
Good for him. But no, that's when I stepped in. You know what I mean? And did the outfit work out?
It did.
It worked out, right? You know I can dress. You know I subscribed.
That wasn't the issue. The issue was
I like to be fly.
Right. I like to be fly too, but you said I don't know my swag and I don't know stuff.
Yeah, you just haven't quite like locked into your thing. Your thing. Your thing.
I do?
That thing you do. But also, I tell you, I jokingly say this as well. Early for me dressing, I had role models, and the role model was hip hop. And that helped my mind explore, because there was a quick moment where I thought I want to design clothes.
Oh.
For a quick second, early 90s,
right.
When all of the hip hop wear was out. You got Anthony's Clothing down the street. He's got Heaven to Hell. Mm-hmm. You got the Rec Shop downtown. You got Charles Limited. All this stuff is out. And I'm like, I like my jeans to fit like this, and I kind of want my shirt to be like this, and I don't like it when the neck is. I like this color. I like the pastels sometimes. I like the dark colors. So I kind of,
I liked clean sneakers.
Right, and I'm just like, those shoes don't go with those, and the way your shoes fall on your jeans, you look like a poop butt. You can't, You know what I mean? You got to do it a certain way. Even when I was broke, even if it was just Old Navy, you know what I mean? I'm like, in Aeropostale. This shirt got to go with this. These cargos go with this.
We are not knocking Old Navy or Aeropostale.
Are you kidding me?
Okay.
This Keith Haring joint right here is from Old Navy. Can you see? Can you get it? I might get me a deal. You see the way it sits on my shoulders? How the neck don't drop too low? You don't like the neck to drop too low. You don't want the shirt to be too big. You know what I mean? I don't like I care.
Submission. Thank you. Go ahead.
But nonetheless, that's how it looked. I took the lead in that one. Mm-hmm. You fought a little bit, but it wasn't a true fight. We knew he was going to look good, and boy, did he look good.
And you didn't buy the striped shirt.
I didn't buy the striped shirt. I heard you.
Right.
But it just didn't work. If it worked, I would have bought it.
I don't
if it worked, I would have bought it.
I'm going to think that you wouldn't have bought it just off the strength that my wife does not like it, and therefore I'm not going to buy it.
I want to tell the truth and shit. I want to tell the truth. Tell the truth. It's not what it was. If it worked, I would have bought it.
Okay.
But that's like a real-time thing.
Well, I have a real-time example.
You did it yesterday. You always doing it because you're fan. You did it yesterday.
What did I do yesterday?
I'm cleaning the garage.
Oh.
What are you doing? You are organizing a trip. You get the time. Bow, bow, bow. Here we get our car here. We stay here. We're going to use this. You're going to hit, like you were just bow, 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 bow. And I'm just like, yep. Mm-hmm. That works. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I can get it done. But she does it better.
Right.
I'll pay the additional $50. You're like, I'm not doing that. There's a coupon.
Yeah, I'm not.
I submit.
Thank you. I appreciate that, because sometimes we don't need to pay the extra fees. So, dare I say submission is partnership?
Oh, you just said it. What was that, ma'am? Say it again.
Dare I say submission is actually partnership?
For the people in the back, she said, dare I say that partnership is submission. I don't care what y'all talking about. All right. And, Steve, does that mean you don't subscribe to the scriptures? Bro, there's an Old Testament and a New Testament. He did it one way, we blew it, and they did it another way. Duh. All right. Even God came back and redid it. Why you can't? You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. It is a partnership. What are we talking about? You bring your goods to the table. I bring my goods to the table. We put it together and we got a meal. You bring your marinara sauce. I make the pasta. All right. And we both can choose the bread.
Except you don't like marinara sauce.
I do like it. I just don't love it. I choose Alfredo.
Okay. So
ask my niece Nia about my Alfredo.
Oh yeah, we'll ask her. Okay.
Yeah, buddy.
So so I do think that it, again, talking about 25-year-old me to 44-year-old me, it took me a long time to figure out that partnership and submission really do align. It took me a long time to get there. we've talked about it a little bit, but I'm going to talk a little bit about it right now, right?
Okay.
About 4 years ago, I left the workforce.
All right.
I immediately thought, this is amazing, but this man is about to have all this power over me. I did. I don't know if I've said that to you, but
No.
I did.
I learn something new every day.
You do, or at least every week, right? When we do our therapy sessions here on the podcast.
Got it.
So I really felt like I was going to lose my power because I wasn't necessarily bringing home a paycheck anymore. Not one that had as much value as the one that you were bringing in. And so I was really having a hard time with that because I felt like, my identity has been tied so closely to me being an educator, but I also saw that as like, and that's how I make my money, and that's how I hold value in this family.
Ooh.
Yeah. So I had to really sit with the idea of submission and reevaluate like what it was that I was aspiring to. So when I think about submission, I don't see it the same way I did 4 years ago. I don't. It has taken me some time. There were little things that would happen, like, I want to buy X, Y, and Z for myself, but I don't generate much money. I have some clients that I'm working with and I have certain things, right? But I'm just kind of giving you like my thoughts, right? And so because of that, I really would sit like, I don't know if, I can buy the kids stuff because these his kids too. So it doesn't matter. I can buy certain things for them and I don't have to feel a certain way. But me, these are my bills. These are my things. And I'm not generating money. And I understand that we are a family, but there's a real struggle with like not being able to make money. And how much say do I have?
Imagine everything you said and everything I talked about with my evolution as well as my history. Mm-hmm. Imagine all of that and then being a man.
Okay. Wow.
Imagine what that feels like.
Right.
At the time when I was trying to figure out my next.
Figure it out.
That's the way it felt.
Right.
You know what I mean? So going back to our financial episode, 2 episodes ago, that's where I was when I was the avoider. All right. So once again, y'all go back and look at the finance one. That's what men go through when they feel that when they're not living up to their financial potential. They're not earning enough, but they're putting in the work. Yeah. You know what I mean? It feels like emasculating because once again, you have the burden of the world and all of these identity things and all these fictitious things that are put on men. Some real, some not real. Some biblical, some just societal. Mm-hmm. You take those suckers and put them on your shoulders, and then you come home after a day of trying to figure it out and then also work hard and be spiritually connected, you know what I mean, and be this man and all that stuff. And then
or emotionally connected.
Yeah, all of this stuff. Mm-hmm. But your paycheck don't take care of it.
Right.
And a woman is letting you know your paycheck don't take care of it. It's rough.
That is, and I appreciate you like pointing that out because I don't think I necessarily saw it that way. I saw it like, okay, well then step it up. Like, what are you going to do?
Right.
Just this really like bootstraps idea that's not quite fair, So I guess I want to ask you this question and maybe you can answer it, right?
Sure.
It's not you specifically, but thinking about, because there are a lot of couples, or I'm sure that there are partnerships where the woman is the one that's thriving, right? Like we talked about historically, like the demise, and now women are making money. They're doing their thing. And so they're getting into these partnerships and maybe the partner's not making the same amount of money. Why should a woman feel inclined to allow her partner to lead?
I'm going to go ahead and the rebuttal to that is going to be, why should a man do the same? Right?
Well, that's not the hierarchy.
That's not the hierarchy. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Here we are talking about the hierarchy. Even if we'll never agree on who is who and da-da-da-da, in our house, who has the actual say in the matter? The Almighty in our home. Mm-hmm. So we're operating off of that. Right. You know what I mean? He gave me what I got. He gave me what you got. We're putting our stuff in the pot. We're going to brew it up. And
we
going to get
it. Do that right away.
We didn't do that right away. So financially speaking, you know what I mean? Bring what you can bring to the pot. Give your best. If your best, and I'm speaking about me right now, if your best is an after school job, you know what I mean? A part-time after school job, and connected with that is a coaching job, a sport coaching job, and also clients training one-on-one. If that's your best, just know that that's not where you're going to land. That's not where you're going to stay. Just bring your best, but always be en route to your next. And that route equals activity. Activity could be going back to school. Activity could be learning something on your own. Activity could be joining a mastermind. Activity could be finding a mentor. Activity could be finding out resources within your company to ways that you can grow financially.
So like building the comprehension.
Build the comprehension. You got to get smarter and better and become more of an asset. The more valuable you are, the better you are. That's why I believe LeBron is not the best player ever. Mike is the best. But the reason he's so great is because he is so valuable. He has so many things that he can provide. You know what I'm saying? So make yourself an asset. Make yourself valuable. And that's the same thing for a woman. Right. If you're in that world and that's how you and your husband have agreed to live, you know what I mean? Then do your best. Climb. My wife climbed to the highest of heights with education. You, my wife, opted out of the next level of administration, which would have been vice principal or head principal. Or if we went to a private school, it would have been headmaster. Right. You said nah, because that means I got to give up my life. I'm not ready to give up my life and have.
But I didn't love it enough.
Yeah, and that as well. Sorry.
Right, like it was. Yes, I would have to give up a lot of my time. I was already compromising that. No, thank you. And I didn't love it enough to want to do that. Which, but interestingly enough, like I said, is what I was doing.
Yeah.
Like, but this has been my identity, and and it was never like, oh, I was the breadwinner. That wasn't the concern.
Right.
It was like, okay, so. What am I supposed to do? And I want to add just one other thing, because I think it's important to talk about this as well, right? So in the ascension, as you were doing what you were doing, and we're getting more adjusted to life and certain things, there was also a huge level of like shame. Shame that, like, why is it I get this privilege? I'm watching so many of my other people close to me, maybe struggling somewhat financially, or going from job to job and trying to figure out what their next is. And here it is, like, we've had some struggle financially, but here I am in this space right now, and I don't have to work. And, you know, and then thinking even back ancestors and how, you know, I aspired to go to school, get a master's degree. Like, I went and did all of these things. And then for what? To now be, that sleep is really good.
You're getting that good sleep.
Like, to then.
What you're talking about is survivor's remorse.
Maybe.
Survivor's remorse, because I dealt with a little bit during COVID.
Okay.
When a lot of my associates and acquaintances were losing their jobs, were losing the businesses that they had built, right. or just losing their 9 to 5 because they were being downsized. Right. And here I am ascending during COVID. You know what I mean? It makes you feel away. It makes you feel away. And as I've said before, and I'll say it on camera, you know, since we're doing it, hey, homeboy, like, Lizzie, you climbed the mountain. You chased what you believed to be your purpose at the time for 17 years. Like, we're talking 3 years. And for some people, that's you know what I mean? That's when you walk away. That's retirement time, you know, for some people in certain realms, certain spaces, certain, you know, jobs, occupations, careers. You know what I mean? You put 17 years in and you ascended as you did it. You didn't get comfortable and just stay there. You did your thing. So the fact that you earned the right, even if you go back next week or next year, you earned 4 years off. And as a man, I'm just keeping it a buck with you, to be able to provide that for my wife, that's a real flex. And it also feels fantastic. So, real talk, you earned that, homeboy.
Thank you. I mean, I think, like I said, in hindsight, not in hindsight. In present day, I absolutely believe that was earned.
2
But
o'clock in the afternoon naps that you be taking.
that, sometimes I need a reset. Sometimes you need a reset. So I have a nap and then I get a coffee. I'm good. You
Got it.
judging. I don't appreciate it.
I'm clowning.
Okay.
I'm clowning.
Okay.
But I think we need to wrap this up because our son's snoring is getting louder by the moment. All right, so let's wrap this symposium up because it's becoming real kind of long-winded. At the end of the day,
Is it?
yeah,
Oh, okay.
so
Sorry
at the
about
end of the
that.
day, what I mean, we believe and we subscribe to the idea of partnership.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Yeah, I might be the quote unquote head of the household, but I submit in the areas of which I submit. You know what I mean? The things that I'm not fantastic at. Thankfully, I found the right woman who is fantastic at some of those things. I am not a great cook. You know what I mean? I'm just not. That's just one of the areas that I know a lot of homeboys that's good in the kitchen. I'm like, that's not my thing.
Right.
If something is wet, I think you got to put water on it. That's not the mindset of good cooking.
No.
You know what I mean?
So, okay. So thinking
And that's not
about-
just it either. I'm just saying I can't cook. That's all,
You keep going back to
That's
that.
what I really
and
suck at, though.
that's-
Really suck at it.
there's room for growth in a lot of
Oh, there's
other,
no other way to go but up, buddy.
yeah, with
I got
that.
pancakes and Alfredo's, all I got.
Your Alfredo's pretty good. And I don't even like Alfredo like that, but your Alfredo's pretty good. So I think one of the a few takeaways that I gathered from submission being partnership is that means that I am heard and I am seen.
Yeah.
That's what that looks like in our relationship, right? So my input matters, my why matters.
Mm-hmm.
And we are also powerful independently, but unshakable as a unit.
I like that.
So those are these are things that I was gathering from this, and these are actually things that I have compiled over time because, like I said, how I felt 4 years ago is not how I feel today. And there's so many anyway. Nothing is unequivocally off the table unless that something is somehow a sin. So that's how I look at it when I think about submission.
That's good.
Think about it, yeah.
That's real good.
So
That's really, really good.
those are my takeaways.
Yeah, I like that. We got to aggregate that piece of content right there if our son's snoring is not in there. Now, for me, I'd like to leave off with, 3 things as well. All right, 3 things.
Okay.
So for me, you know what I mean? For me, we're operating in a space where my wife and I have decided to not only be flat out completely partners, you know what I mean? So there's an account now. There's a joint account. I know it sounds crazy, but we did not join accounts until last year?
So we got ready to buy the house.
So you're right. So that's teens of years before we
3 years
finally
ago.
combined finances in one bank. All right. We got other banks for different things, but you know what I mean? But find out what your purpose is. And inside of that purpose, you'll align with what you're good at. I'm sorry. I'll say that another way. Find out what you're good at, what you're passionate at. And then that will align you with your purpose. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? And that's important. Sidebar, just because you like to rap don't mean that's the only way in. Just because you like to play basketball don't mean that you have to play ball. There's coaches, you know what I mean? There's engineers, there's A&Rs, there's producers, there's managers, there's lawyers. There's ways to be involved in your purpose without doing that thing. So that's my sidebar for my brothers out there. All right? Find out what y'all are good at, right? And if you want to partner together, then give your time to that thing that's going to yield the most, right? If that clothing company, if that lawyer degree, which one? But put it together, you know what I mean, and decide to be a partner. Become almost like a company like we're doing, so to speak. Shout out to Hodge Incorporated. All right? And then execute. You know what I mean? And when you're executing, you'll be able to see who does what well. And that's when you'll submit. Oh, you're a better administrator than me. I submit. Oh, you're a macro vision guy. I'll submit. Oh, you're the micro person. I'll submit. Oh, you have a better network than me. I submit. And that happens all the way around from the business to the house. Oh, you're better at this than me. I submit. Today, I can take care of this. I submit. You know what I mean? And this is not taking shots at people, but this is the truth. Submission is just the idea. I believe, I could be wrong. I believe that when it was written in scripture, it was designed with the idea of Adam, who was here first under God. Mm-hmm. We then took it and probably weaponized it with people who are not comprehensive and are power hungry. Mm-hmm. And that can be diluted, you know what I mean, misused, perverted, right? So you have all of that idea of I'm the guy, you got to submit. And next thing you know, we have what we have. History says, especially with Black and brown, that the manifestation of that eroded years ago. Whether it's because of the welfare, remember welfare when men couldn't be in the house for women to get there, whatever. But nonetheless, find out what you're good at. Come together, find out who's good at what, find who's good at what, you know what I mean? And then execute the plan, right? Execute, come together, be a team, be a family, like let it go. Let this whole idea of because you're the man, everything runs through you. That's not the truth. Do I believe you're going to have to answer to your father at some point for your family and your tribe? I do. But that doesn't mean that your woman isn't valuable. It doesn't mean I could go on all day. I think this has a lot to do with men and them being not comprehensive, not comprehensible.
Non-comprehensive.
Non-comprehensive.
That's okay.
So I believe that. I believe that has a lot to do with where we are.
Okay.
And I also believe that women having to take up the slack, you know what I mean? Now, even that's been perverted.
That's the imbalance.
That's the imbalance. And now it comes to a head. Mm-hmm. And now social media. And now all you got is these goofy podcasts who got men and women saying what they supposed to be doing for click, bait. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? When the truth is, it's supposed to be, God, I'm answering to you, and so is she. We're partners. I'm good at something. She's good at something. Right? Let's go ahead and get this. It's just, it works. Stop being stupid.
Do you think, okay, so as the recollect for today.
Yes, ma'am.
We talked a little bit about like real time examples.
Yeah.
Something that you and I were conflicted on that really shook up the marriage because maybe I didn't fall in line maybe the way that I was supposed to, or I mean, and I'm going to say it that way. I'm not going to try to reverse it. So can you think of a conflict where a moment where we had to really like practice submission and there was a huge like argument or a huge like.
Give me a second. I think because we're truly friends, that moments of that type of combustibility really aren't a part of what we are. You go first. I can't.
So I don't have one. So and that's the interesting part, right?
Even if I fight, I'll yield when necessary, if that makes sense.
I think
because we both are natural rebellious people.
We are rebellious, and I don't want to say argumentative. I think you're a little more argumentative than I would be, but I think we're both pretty confrontational. And I'm
very confrontational.
Correct, and so that's what I'm saying. Like we don't necessarily argue with one, but we'll point out the thing. And
accountability is our thing.
Absolutely.
And people who don't like being accountable don't like us.
They don't like that. They don't like. Yeah.
That's real.
People like being around us.
Right.
So I was sitting and trying to figure out, like, with the recollect, I was just like, when is it that I needed to submit? And we argued about it. And I was like, I can't think of a specific time where in our marriage,
when it comes to the kids, we might have some input, but it's never come to a head financially. When we didn't have it, that's what it was. But when it comes to like financial decisions, we haven't had a moment of reckoning there with our wills. Raising the kids. Did I say that already?
Yeah, we said
okay. Even when it was time for us to move, we haven't. I mean, we were both on board with that. So I can't think of any majors that we missed each other completely on. Maybe that's saying something about us.
I mean, maybe just a little bit of research that I had done. I listened to some podcasts beforehand about and read up and did some article, whatever dives, and most people who are talking about submission, like married couples that are talking about submission, are like, we just kind of fell in line. If like, and this is the husband or the wife saying like, we just kind of worked through it. And so I think it speaks really submission, like, again, and that's why I said, like, dare I call it partnership, because
I'm still thinking.
It's fine.
I've got nothing.
Because I think a lot of the time, like when we're talking about situations like this, it's like you submit because the person who may be taking the lead is not hearing, is not taking into account, is not allowing you to be seen or heard. And that's not ever been our situation. I don't think that I've ever felt like you're not seeing me, my opinion doesn't matter. I do think when we were challenged, like financially, it was, I don't want to talk about this, but I don't want to talk about it because I don't have anything to offer. That was really clear. So that's different from like, I don't care what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
So in this recollect, I could not conjure up anything, but I said, let me ask him. Maybe he will think about something. Or
I've got nothing. That's a good thing, I believe. Because I can think of more times where it could have been a mess, but it went right. It worked. Homeboy on the roof. Oh. I'm saying stay in the house. You know what I mean? Let me handle this. You know, this is going to be my brainchild. I'm going to handle this.
Okay.
You know what I mean? That could have went wrong.
Story?
Yeah. I mean, I guess, just
Well, you just said somebody was on our roof.
In North Hollywood years ago. We're living in North Hollywood. As I said, I think my homeboy Karan was there too. He was over there visiting. We're having a good conversation, as we do, because we all three of us really grew up together. Mm-hmm. So when we get our triangle of fun going on, we're family. We get to go. That's Cheyenne's, that's our goddaddy. But we're having a good conversation. Just randomly, we hear a big thud, boom on the roof, and we don't know because it's is this an earthquake? Is it a bomb? Like, what is this big thud?
Because then we heard a boom, boom, boom.
Right,
boom,
and then
boom,
we hear
boom.
feet, boom, and then we hear a drop. So there's different sounds. So I'm putting together what happened. I said, all right, cool. There's somebody on the roof. I don't know if he's here to get us, but we also heard the chopper, which means he's running.
So if you're not from LA, the choppers mean someone is being chased or they're trying to find someone on the run.
So you see a big old light. You see the chopper. You'll hear it. Feel like it's sitting right on top.
So you only see the light if you're in the vicinity.
Right.
We were in the vicinity.
We were the vicinity. So homeboy had made a run for it. Mm-hmm. Yep. Jumped onto our roof. And he must have fell off the side. Or we thought maybe he jumped. I thought he jumped.
Tree. I think he tried to jump and like off the roof to catch the tree.
Nah, I think he fell because that was too much that's too much. Because he could have just hit the ground and then hit the gate. That's easier. You know what I mean? You hit the ground and then you use the gate to whatever.
You're so street savvy.
Sorry. But I think he hit it and then, because he was running, he fell. And as he fell, we found it. Yeah.
What is it? Family Guy?
Family Guy.
Or American, what is it?
That's
American
Family Guy.
Dad?
It's Family Guy.
Family Guy? Okay.
So I got Karan with me, you know what I mean? So I had to put together a plan of action. Because our daughter is tripping. She don't know what's going on.
She's
right?
ready to fight.
Right. So I'm like, what did I say first? Go lock the back door. So you sprint to the back door. Mm-hmm. I'm like, this dude could be trying to get in the house. A lot of time when you're watching these chases, they're trying to get into any door at a turn, right? Sure lock the back door. So you ran to the back door. You did that. You submitted. You ran to the back and you locked the door. And then we all got to the middle. I said, let's get right in the middle. So whatever pop off, he got to go through all of us, right? So eventually we realized that we were in the back house.
He couldn't get anywhere.
He couldn't. Well, we were in the back house. Mm-hmm. We didn't know that. We didn't know he was immobile. We had no idea to know. We're inside. So up front, the gate was locked because they were on vacation, but their boys were up there. So as a leader, I'm thinking about the boys too.
And a dad.
Yeah, and a dad. Like, I got to be to take care of them as well, right? So I'd get Karan, and I'm like, hey, bro, I know you don't really want to be a part of this, but we have to get out in front of this. Why? They're going to break that gate eventually because he's back here. All right. So I walked out and I looked around and I see his leg. I said, oh, he's hiding. I didn't know he was, broke up.
You say he broke his leg.
We knew after. There's no way for us to know.
No, I thought you knew.
No, I just see feet.
Okay.
I just see feet. So I said, all right, cool. He over here. All right. So they're going to bust that gate eventually. They're going to find a way to break that gate. So there's some time. But they also got weapons. And we black. So I'm just like,
ID.
Yep. We need to make sure they see this ID. He ain't with us and we not with them. And the last thing I need is for them busting in this house with my family, my daughter and my wife here. I don't need that for them. So they finally bust through, come through the gate. Yo, I live here. I got my ID up. Like, yo, I live here. I'm renting. This is my address. This is my friend. I said, yo, put your glasses on. I want you to be as nerdy as you can be. Told my man Karan, be nerdy, be a geek. So I showed him that. But I also was giving them telling them, he over there. He over there. And when they snatched him up, by that time, now our daughter is trying to get through my legs. We had to close our legs because she's trying to get through. What is happening?
He was ready to fight.
Yep. So they snatched him up. His leg was broken or his ankle was broken, whatever. And Karan had to grab me because I wanted to get a little something too. You disturbed my harmony.
Yeah.
You put me through a lot of stress.
Right.
So Karan had to grab me because I'm like, hold him up. Let me get mine in there too. And Karan was like, yo, chill, bro.
Take you to
Chill. Right.
Right.
So yeah, that could have went wrong had you not submitted.
Right.
That could have went wrong. But other than that, no, I'm serious. We have a ton of things that could have went wrong at certain times. But I don't think we have one of those stories.
Like I said, I think where we've had the most conflict, it was because you were figuring out what you needed to figure out.
Yeah.
It wasn't a matter of,
Right.
inability or, So, okay, well.
That's cool. In closing, partnership beats submission any day. Partnership beats submission any day. It beats it. Partnership. And submit when you need to. Ain't nothing wrong with submitting when you need to. Knock it off, fellas. And knock it off, ladies.
And I want people to, I want women to stop. If you're doing this, please stop. Right?
Hey, guys, once again, thank you again for showing up for us. This is, once again, a safe place, edutainment. We want to educate you guys and give you some fun while doing so, while sharing some stuff about our life. We don't know everything. We don't, pretend to know everything. But once again, we're glad you guys spent some time with us. Hit the like button, subscribe, leave a comment. You can find us on TikTok. You can find us on Instagram, Marriage for Grown Folks. We drop every week. Go check out the backlog. This is episode 11. Go check out the other 10.
I think it's 12.
All right? This is 12. You're right. This is 12. Look at that.
I almost choked and died.
She almost choked and died. But did you die, though?
I didn't die. I did not die.
Thank you, guys. We appreciate you. We gone.